There is no board recognition tonight, so we will go on to our presentations, which is, I believe, Regency and AVG. Come on up.
Need more seats?
We'd like to officially welcome you here.
Well, we were just going to say good evening, certainly to the board and Mr. Rigdon and Mr. Stevenson. We are so delighted to be here officially tonight, giving you your first official monthly report on the project. This evening, our agenda, get the board going here. We have our school board project update, and this is a format that I think that will become somewhat typical throughout the project. Our agenda this evening will include okay, we're going to spend a couple minutes recapping the events to date, where we are in the timeline, and John's going to do that. I'm going to do a presentation of the Program of Requirement phase submission. You had a presentation by Architectural Vision Group at the last board meeting about the program of requirements, and tonight we're going to go over the phase submission that goes to the OSFC. And then we're going to do a little look ahead as to where we're heading. And Bob Teitenberg, and I want to take a minute and introduce him. I know he met some of you this evening. Bob is a project executive with Regency and has been assigned to the Elyria School Project. Tonight's not his first meeting. He has been coming to some of the meetings over the last couple of months and has been involved in some of the residential work, demolition, and asbestos consulting that's been going on.
Thought what we'd like to try to do is give you a little recap of, we started at the first official presentation of giving you a recap of some of the activities that have taken place since at least the May 8th bond passage. And while, if you recall back when we first presented, we probably got down to the July through September program of requirements, and you can see there's another dozen activities that have actually happened. And I just want to recap with you. I think from May 8th, we all know how wonderful that is. We're here tonight to talk about the program of requirements, which is the one highlighted, which actually took place in development from July through September. So it is a very deliberate process that AVG has been meeting with the school on a number of times to get the program solidified. You actually had that previewed at the last board meeting, and tonight Terry, as she said, is going to go through the book. Some of the real important activities that have happened since then is the home site environmental evaluations are underway. Each one of the homes that you've purchased are going through the asbestos evaluation, and reports are being generated. We have had some city coordination meetings. We've actually met with the city twice now to go through some policies and procedures and informational type of exchange with the city. Bob has met with the city engineer to get the procedures out of getting drawings approved. Demolition of 601 and 605 on Middle Avenue, as we all know, took place, and which was a monumental day when that came down. And I think that made not only the news, but I think it was heard around the world. In September was a very busy month for us. From the laser scan of the existing building is taking place now. This is where a company comes in and actually does a layout of the entire building, so we know exactly what's in the old building. So when we start doing the phase demolition, we know where to cut things off at the appropriate place. So that's underway, and that's going to happen over probably the next couple of months, where the drawings will finally be completed. Also this month, in September, we initiated the survey of the property, which we wanted to find the metes and bounds of all the property that you're buying, so we know exactly where our confines are going to be. And then after a lot of the homes are demolished, we will come back and survey the entire property again and start looking at the contours of how the land actually undulates. So right now we know where all the corners are. We know some of the major monuments that are out there for control, and that's taking place. We've also engaged a geothermal conductivity consultant. This is the company that's going to come out and drill a 300 to a 400-foot well to find out how conducive the soil is for geothermal, which is one of our targets, to try to get a portion of the building heat and cooled through geothermal, which is very good. So that's being conducted. We have also engaged a testing consultant. This testing consultant will be the group that will come through and test the soils when we remove the buildings and fill in the basements. We'll be compacting the soil back to our requirements, so when we put the new building on it, nothing happens, no settlement takes place. And then they'll also be engaged throughout the process to make sure that the concrete comes up to the proper slumps, the steel is installed and tightened properly. So there's a lot of testing that goes on beyond our watchful eye that's done by a testing consultant. So that they're on board also. We've also engaged a hazardous abatement consultant. These are the folks that will actually go through the buildings and write up the report to actually take the asbestos out of the buildings, because Mr. Repas is now writing the reports about what's in there and what has to come out. This hazardous abatement consultant will actually be the folks that will be engaged to go into the buildings, remove it, and properly dispose of the material before the houses are demolished. And last but certainly not least, for the month of September, we awarded the demolition bid, which you all approved the last time, and they are about ready to start engaging as soon as Mr. Repas gets done with the reports and we remove some of the asbestos. The buildings will start coming down. So you're going to start seeing an open site, not too distant future. One of the items that we talked about at the last meeting too was to give you a reflection of where we are in the schedule. And if I can direct up to the upper left-hand corner, right above the big, right below the big red arrow, that's the program of requirement where AVG has completed that function. And you've already had it presented, and tonight we're giving you the first official act as a CM of coming and getting everything signed. If you notice, what we've done is we've added a number of stars and dots throughout the remainder of the calendar, and the stars represent when we're going to have community engagement. Approximately, I think after talking with Syed, near the end of the schematic design, which is the first major blue bar down under the yellow, is we'll start sharing with the community what the property and project's going to look like. The drawings will be developed, elevations will be developed, and then the community will have a chance to give some input of what they think. And then, so if you see that during the design development, we might have 2 community engagements during that period of time where they can come back and see exactly how the project has evolved. And then as you look on the actual bullets, the yellow dots as we go through construction, Bob, in working at Lakewood and other school districts, has been very good about conducting community tours of the facility during construction. We take organized groups through so that they see what the project and how it's evolving right through construction. And we've gotten great feedback from the community members when they can see it evolve. So we have a number of those already put in place. At a minimum, we'll have it quarterly, and sometimes as we get closer toward the end of a particular phase, we may even engage more. So we'll have official announcements going out to the community so we can have walkthroughs. So overall, again, we're on track. And I think the schedule pretty much speaks for itself. What we'll be going through now is taking this schedule and start developing it into the hundreds of activities that actually will take place now, completing the design and also the construction activities. So this will probably be one of the last times you'll see a schedule of this broad brush nature, because we'll start developing it in more detail. But we'll still present to you in these type of forums this recap so that you can best understand and the community can see where we are. But we're right on track where we want to be, and I think by the end of this year we'll have drawings and elevations so the community can see what the building's going to look like.
Could you just briefly, because we've been telling people that this is going to be the session where they can get information and we'll keep them up to date. Can you kind of, you know, you reference the fact, and we all reference how glad we are to have you as our construction manager, but could you kind of reference, even though